Hello, my name is Chelsea Simbanen, and this is my collaborating teacher, Jill Sanders, who is an ESL teacher for the Hardin County School District. Today I'm making this video for my Georgetown College EDU 583 course for Linguistic Theory and Analysis of ESL students. The focus of this video is to review a recommendation plan for mainstream teachers and to assist them in closing the achievement gap for ESL students, especially those with Arabic as their native and heritage background languages. Jill, if you want to give us a little bit of information about the focus student.
Sure. Okay, our focus student is a 10th grader at John Hardin High School. He has been in the country since 2013. He moved here with his family from Iraq, and he has had some difficulty with acquiring the English language. I feel like a large part of that stems from the differences between the English language and the Arabic language. For example, Arabic primarily uses cursive, and of course the English language has a print version and a cursive language. Their text goes from right to left. Ours goes from left to right, and there's lots of differences with the number of vowels and consonant sounds, and there's more variation with the English language. Also, the Arabic language doesn't place as much emphasis on certain vowel sounds. They're not as important, so they can be omitted, and so Arabic speakers oftentimes have difficulty learning those distinct differences. Also, this particular student is on the radar to be tested for other cognitive issues related to learning. He currently is in KSI. At his grade level, I'm not sure if they'll decide to test him for special ed services or not. They're not as quick to do that the older they get.
Yes.
So I don't know that if he will be tested or not, but he is receiving KSI support on top of his ESL services. What else would you like to know?
Just a couple other common issues I want to go over with Arabic speakers that are trying to acquire the English language as their second language. As you mentioned, there's a lot more consonants in Arabic. There's 4 more consonants in Arabic than the English language. It does have 3 times as many vowel sounds. In Arabic, short vowels are considered unimportant, so they don't even really appear in writing. And the common distinctions, like you talked about, is in Arabic, everything's written in cursive.
Mm-hmm.
And while English does have the 2 forms, there's no distinction in upper and lower case writing, which I noticed from the writing sample that you got for me. There's a couple instances where he forgets, and like you said, they're read right to left, and punctuation's more relaxed in Arabic.
Yes, much more relaxed. English grammar rules are much more concrete, so that is something else the student struggles with.
And other than that, it was just other common issues with ESL students, like verb tense issues.
Oh, yes. Verb tense issue is a common struggle. Honestly, organization of thoughts in general for ESL students tends to be a struggle until they get used to the American format, especially for larger pieces of writing. They tend to do okay with single paragraphs, but when you ask them to expand on that, most of my ESL students tend to struggle with that part.
And I remember when I was learning German in high school, it was the subject-verb conjugation. Mm-hmm. It threw me for a loop because it was completely different to the way we write in English. And
absolutely.
The next thing I have is a recommendation plan for mainstream teachers, and that's so that in order to properly accommodate incoming or existing ESLs whose native language is Arabic, what can mainstream teachers do in order to be more educated and aware of how to assist their students?
I am glad you asked, because I have a copy of his PSP plan right here, and for testing, this student would definitely qualify for a reader and extended time for all assessments. That's in the classroom or major state assessments, either one. For classroom modifications, I have 23 different options listed here. They don't always have to necessarily be used, but they're all available. For example, we have a bilingual English dictionary that he can use. Visual cues and organizers are huge for this level of student. They have to practice engaging in academic conversations, like STEM cards, sentence stems are very useful. And we also have to take the time to link instruction to prior knowledge, because ESL students really tend to lack that background knowledge that we take for granted from American students.
Yes.
So a lot of times they need time to fill that gap before they can understand. I also use simplified language, and of course adapt the pace of instruction. You don't want to throw too much work at them at once. That smaller chunking is better. That way they have time to process. And I put reduced homework, just reduced work in general, because the English language learner, even if you reduce the amount of work they have in front of them, they're still having to work just as hard, because they have to have time to process what they're reading. So I think reduced work is sometimes appropriate. Another one on here that's really big, guided outline for notes. They lack the ability to write as quickly as native speakers of English. So when you're getting into content where you need to take notes,
So kind of fill in the blank type of
right,
notes.
fill in the blank notes, guided. They need some extra support, and teachers need to understand that ESL students shouldn't be penalized for spelling or grammar mistakes, especially at the level 1 or level 2 area, because they haven't had time to learn all those distinct differences between the two languages. Once they transition into level 3 and 4, then you can start holding them more accountable for those type of things.
All right, and just a few notes that I had too, just some things that we went over in class based on the articles we've read. In addition, as Jill said, the primary step for any mainstream teacher should be to reference the student's PSP document and ensure that they're hitting some of those recommended accommodations. They don't have to hit them all at the same time, but they do need to hit them throughout the year.
And of course, the state of Kentucky is under the WIDA consortium. So that's a consortium of states that all have the same guidelines and goals for reading, speaking, listening, and writing. So any ESL student in the state of Kentucky should have a PSP aligned with those standards.
And also, the additional notes was for those teachers to have a basic understanding of SFL, which is Systematic Function Linguistics, and that's to go beyond the sentence and observe patterns of grammar within and across whole text, so that you can have the broader cultural context and the more specific situation. Also, I had how to convey register, because it's essential for those students to understand what language they should use in different contexts, especially with ESLs that are learning, the by-the-book version of how to use English. They have to learn how to use it in their social situations as well.
And figurative language.
Yes. And having a knowledge of the general makeup of the academic text you use. One example was like in history, you have to be aware that they're made up of nouns that use nominalization, so that you know that it's turning those nouns to act as verbs and adjectives and throughout the clauses. And also to try to familiarize yourself with the International Phonetic Alphabet, the IPA system, just so that you as the mainstream teacher can help those students make the proper pronunciation sounds, or you can help correct them, or maybe you can even make sure that you're pronouncing the words correctly for them to understand. I know even being a native English speaker, we all come from different areas with different dialects, and we have our twangs and stuff like that. So just make sure that you're familiarized with that. And do you have any other recommendations?
I was just going to mention a couple resources that we use frequently. The English teachers at both of the high schools I work at use No Red Ink frequently, and that is great for grammar practice. It seems to be helping my ESL students in small chunks. If you assign too much, it could do the opposite, but if you use it appropriately, it's a good resource. And we also utilize Reading A to Z, which offers appropriate differentiated reading tasks at different levels that they can test out of gradually, and that has also been a really good resource.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.